It's Ryan Grant, Green Bay Packers, and I'd like to introduce the Packers podcast
I am very excited.
I absolutely love the
Yes, sir.
with Packer People 12 and Big B.
Big B, nice to meet you, Big B.
Social media fans if they traded up to get Jordan Love.
Carry the G.
Packers legendary quarterback Brett Hundley. MySpace and the Cheesehead TV comment.
Okay, that's just stupid.
It's gonna be awesome. Your names are awesome, so everything else is good to go. But let's have fun talking about Packer stuff. Go Pack, go!
What is going on, everybody? It's Joey or Packer People 12, and welcome back to the Underage Packers podcast. As always, joining me is my co-host Big B. How are you on this fine evening?
I'm doing great.
So today, we're pretty excited for our guest, someone who we've been watching for a while, someone who is really responsible for most of our Twitter followers. And there's even a rumor out there that Aaron Rodgers was named after him. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Aaron Nagler.
I don't think that's true, especially if you talk to Ed. And second of all, you're just kind of excited. That's good. I'm working up to really excited, but it's kind of excited. It's good. I'm kind of excited to be here as well.
Yeah,
good.
not don't want
pretty excited, kind of excited. I don't want to blow it up too far out of proportion.
Yeah, not getting too hyped.
All right,
but we are hyped for this Sunday. Not more than kind of excited. Packers Vikings Week 1. So what we really want to talk about you today, Aaron, is looking back at that Week 16 game. What happened there? And what could go wrong, what could go different in this Sunday's game. So, that one was pretty much a domination. I don't think any of us felt really nervous past that first quarter after we got that lead back that we were going to win. The defense did great. The Smith Bros, fantastic. I mean, the Vikings, I looked back on their longest drive was just over 30 yards. So is there really any reason to believe that shouldn't happen again?
Well, as Matt LaFleur would tell you, it's a new year, and every week you're 0-0, and you got to get to 1-0. It's interesting, but I hear what you're saying in regards to not being nervous, because I do think they played better overall, just down in and down out. If you look at the flow of the game, there was no question the Packers were in control for the most part. Now, obviously, there were, the big touchdown to Diggs, what have you, but for the most part, the Packers were the better team pretty much in every facet of that game. I will say, though, I didn't quite share your we got this attitude heading into halftime. They were down 10-9, and they turned the ball over, 3 times in that first half. But the fact that they were that close still in the game after having turned it over so many times, that's what gave you confidence, right? When I look at this game Sunday, whole new year, whole new squad on both sides of the ball, I get that. But there is not one area where I look at it, and if you look at both games from last year and try to project out to what might happen on Sunday, there's no way I look at this and think the Packers don't have this. You know what I mean? Like, I think especially because of the fact that there were 3 turnovers in that game, and they still won by a couple scores. That shouldn't happen in the NFL, and it most certainly did. And I think that speaks to not only the discrepancy team talent-wise and coaching-wise between the teams last year, but this year as well. I just see a team in the Packers that is really going to benefit from the continuity that they have everywhere on their roster comparative to what the Vikings have, and both teams trying to grapple with the offseason they're coming off of.
Yeah, I definitely think that both teams have unexpected would be a good word for their moves in the offseason. The Vikings, they had 15 draft picks, 14, I believe, made the roster. They lost a lot of their stars just because, what were they at? Like 800,000 in cap room.
Issues in cap, no doubt.
Issues there. So they released Linval Joseph. They had to trade Stephon Diggs, get rid of Xavier Rhodes and Trey Waynes. And you look at the Packers, and that's really the opposite. I know, obviously, they couldn't bring back Brian Bulaga. They did sign Christian Kirksey and Rick Wagner. But the Vikings, their big key is going to have to be their rookies. They got that rookie Justin Jefferson, wide receiver from LSU.
Who I really like, by the way. I think he could be a problem for years to come. Like, who knows after this weird offseason, the limited amount of time he's had on the football field with this team, but I really like him.
Just from looking at wide receivers, especially, I was at the combine there and had our eyes on wide receivers, not necessarily quarterbacks.
Right.
But do you think really, will Justin Jefferson be able to have that impact in week 1? Or obviously he's expected not to, just because of what you mentioned, the shortened off season, not too much time. Do you see Matt LaFleur worrying about Jefferson and Gladney?
Not so much worrying. I mean, they're going to run their stuff regardless. But I will say, everything you look at when it comes to the idea of a rookie wide receiver dominating is, kind of ludicrous with this setup, with what they're coming off of, etc. But man, if the history of the Packers and the Vikings, and obviously Randy Moss plays a big part of this, but if it has told you anything, it's like surprises happen all the time. And Jefferson coming out on Sunday and having a monster game against the Packers secondary, which is very athletic, very youthful, very full of talent. But you got to think Jair Alexander is going to draw a feeling, right? You would expect that in most cases. Now, obviously, it won't be that every down in and down out, but most cases. Then you turn around and you think, okay, so probably if there's 2 wide receivers on the field, Kevin King is going to draw Jefferson. And I'm not saying that this rookie is going to take advantage of King, but if we've seen anything from King as far as down in and down out coverage, it's inconsistency. So I would think for the most part, King should be able to lock him down, but who knows if Jefferson starts cooking and starts getting in his head a little bit and starts having some success. We've seen King have bad games. So again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, obviously King's going to have trouble with this rookie. I don't think that is the case, but history will tell you that not only immediate history, but long time history between these 2 franchises will tell you that anything is possible.
Yeah, especially, you look back at that week 2 game at Lambeau where our biggest problem was the secondary. Kevin Keene and Jair Alexander, I specifically remember.
Jair had one he should have picked off in the end zone. That bomb to Diggs, where King, they went to the line quickly, and King is out of position, and Jair comes over. I think they're playing cover 3 there, and Jair comes over. He should have had a pick there, and Diggs gets a big touchdown instead. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I mean when I say, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Also, I can't remember if it was maybe a Savage injury that had Kentrell Bryce starting at safety, so that wasn't the best situation for the Packers. Moving on, let's talk. So Brian Bulaga, the big controversy here around the right tackle, right guard. Obviously, Billy Turner was back at practice today, but I think you tweeted this on your Twitter. Who do you see at right tackle? And also bringing in Yannick Ngakoue there. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but
Ngakoue is as close as I can get. That's,
all right.
You're probably correct for all I know.
Yeah, so the defense line is obviously always going to be a problem with the Vikings. They lost 2 of their big guys this year, and obviously now Daniel Hunter on IR. But what do you expect to see this Sunday on the right side of the offensive line?
See, that's the thing. I mean, who knows where Billy's trending, right? I mean, I know Rob's initial report for ESPN was that he was expected to miss week 1, and I don't think we've seen anything that would suggest otherwise. And I know, like you said, he may be back at practice, but that doesn't mean we don't know. The injury report isn't out yet, so we don't know if it's one thing to be there at the early part when the media is allowed in, where they see guys partaking in group sessions, whatever, drill. It's mostly drill work, but anytime they do any legit team stuff, that's after the media has left. So for all we know, Billy could have been running through the paces, whatever, and then dropped out and or been relegated once team began. So I still think probably the best bet there is Wagner taking over that spot. But I wouldn't discount the idea, and I know we've heard this floated around a couple different places now, of Elton Jenkins popping out there to right tackle. I know that's something that they are not afraid to do. And if they determine, I mean, they being Matt LaFleur and his coaching staff, but if they determine that, that's the best course of action, they think that gives them the best chance, then they'll do that. And I don't think Packers fans should worry about, the ripple effect there, because Patrick, who would have to probably come in at left guard if Elton kicks out to right tackle, he showed out last year on more than one occasion, whether it was center or guard. So I'm not too worried about it, actually, especially now that Danielle Hunter's on IR. If it had been Hunter and Ngakoue on obvious passing downs, that probably would have been a little bit worrisome. But for the most part, I think, with Hunter gone, the Packers, especially with Ngakoue normally lining up over on the right side, against David Bakhtiari, no crowd noise to deal with.
Mhm.
That should be an okay situation for the Packers.
Yeah, I definitely think Elton Jenkins was one of the reason they supposedly drafted him in the second round so high was his versatility.
Right,
Playing in college.
100%. I mean, don't forget his whole senior year he played center.
Mhm.
You know, but he has played literally all 5 positions.
Yeah, so that's a big step up for us. And another player we're hoping to step up this year is not only Josh Jackson, but let's talk about Jamal Williams, Big B.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
This
Big
is
B. I've been waiting. I've been waiting, buddy.
Hell yeah.
Do you have your sign with you? I think we need to show the people this.
No, it's in my closet. I can. Do you want me to get it? I can go get it.
Well, yeah.
You got to get it. What are we even doing here
All right,
if you don't
all
get
right.
it?
All right.
I mean,
all right.
Look, let me just say this. Let me just tell you this right now. I have never met someone more dedicated to a single player. Like I have seen people dedicated to teams like this before, but this man in Big B, as dedicated as he is to Jamal Williams, is so impressive. Look at this. Jamal Williams is the GOAT. The GOAT! Wait, have you brought that to Lambeau?
What?
Have you brought that to Lambeau at all?
Nope.
That's got to happen. Obviously not this year.
Yeah.
But when he returns on a visiting team, then you can bring it. Oh, shit.
Ooh.
I just went there. Sorry.
The Lions.
Yeah.
You know, after
That's good. That's
Susanna's joke when we were doing trivia was fantastic. I mean, that wasn't scripted at all. She just brought that up about.
What did she say? I missed it.
She said, it was if Susanna got it right, Jordan Love would be popping up. If Big B got it right, Jamal Williams would pop up. And she said, you see those two guys on screen, and she said one of them's going to be there next year.
Oh, damn! Boom. Ice cold from Susanna. I love it. I love it.
You know, after spending hours with Big B on Zoom, the one thing, like, you know, sometimes it gets really annoying. But then,
what are you talking about? Never.
You just see the truth. You see the true passion in him and the true love.
I love it.
I got chastised by Jamal for spelling his name wrong on Instagram, but
don't do it, dude. You got to get those 2 A's. Got to do it. Those 2 A's will trip you up. Mm-hmm. I hear you. Wait, I got to ask Big B a question. Big B, what was the genesis of this? I'm sure you've told this story before, but I have not heard it. How did you become the Jamal Williams superfan?
All right. Well, I liked him during the draft process. And the Packers got him, of course. And then the game, I think it was the Cleveland game.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I absolutely.
He's wide open on that initial drive.
Yep. That play. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That play.
That's awesome. I love it.
I
love it.
Jamal fan page for like 3 years now.
Yep.
Yeah,
wait, you have a Jamal fan page?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes, I do.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to need you guys to send me the link. I love it. I'm all on that.
I mean, if you thought his main Instagram was good, and Jamal, like, this is another level.
That Cleveland game was amazing, by the way. Remember they hadn't won a game, and it was all the pressure on the Packers to win, and they go to overtime, whatever. But literally outside the press box window, there were fans getting naked, like stripping down, like Cleveland fans who were just like fed up with the team and the losing, whatever. They were literally folks stripped down to their underwear. It was amazing. It was
oh my god,
men and women, like indiscriminate, like. And that was a late season game. It was cold. Amazing. Just an amazing scene. Incredible
was an interesting game, to say the least.
Yes.
One thing I remember,
Adams with the walk-off literally
that's
into the
exactly
tunnel
what I was about to bring up.
Amazing. So that's an outstanding moment.
Yeah. So, but let's talk about the GOAT, though. Aaron Rodgers, seen him praise for him on the Pat McAfee show. Definitely want to ask Big B. You've been paying more attention to than anybody to his videos he's been posting with Luke Neal. I mean, I think you were the founder of Luke Neal's popularity here in Cheesehead land.
Probably.
So what do you think from your experience of studying Jamal, and from just watching his clips this offseason? Where do you see him helping out in the passing game?
He is going to be everywhere. He's going to catch everything. and he is going to be GOAT status this entire season. I don't even know what that means.
Status. It doesn't matter what it means, dude.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
But it's gonna happen.
That's
Yes.
correct.
I think we do got to talk about that running back game. As we're on the topic of Jamal Williams, let's also bring up, A.J. Dillon and Tyler Ervin, especially at camp. The Vikings, it should be an interesting game. Aaron Jones, 154 yards in that Week 16 match. So do you think it's going to be more similar of a lot of Aaron Jones, or do you think they'll go out Week 1 here? Obviously, not expect to see A.J. Dillon too much. What do you think they'll do a little bit more out there?
I think they will throw a bunch of two-back stuff at them with both Jones and Williams. You look back at that Week 2 game, and some of the most effective stuff they ran was especially that early drive where they really marched right down the field. And, they used Aaron Jones as both a primary receiver out of the backfield and, come in motion and then throw it to him. And then they utilized that same motion later on to draw linebackers out and then ran the screen to Williams for the touchdown. I think you're going to see a lot of that. I don't doubt for a moment that Rodgers is sincere when the things he said on the McAfee show about Jamal Williams, because look, I was there for 2.5 weeks and I can confirm what he's talking about as far as he looks like a different player. Like the fluidity, the idea that he can get vertical on some of these passing concepts rather than just horizontal or as a dump off guy, check down guy. He could be a legitimate weapon in the passing game. And I know people are going to poo-poo it. People are going to be dismissive of it. But I'm telling you, he looks different. And I'm excited to watch how they utilize both of those guys. Because, look, I think A.J. Dillon, his time will come. There's zero doubt that they've got him there as a guy they can bring along. There's no reason to try to, force him into the lineup. But these two guys, I think they really complement each other well. And I think the Packers are going to find really interesting ways to use them both on Sunday.
Yeah, another interesting development from camp is Tyler Ervin playing at wide receiver and running back.
See, the fact that you know that he ran at wide receiver is literally the whole reason, not you specifically, but that the general public knows it, is the whole reason that our tweets got shut down. After that first day, I'll never forget. I got a couple texts from people, not just, and I know I have an ongoing kind of joking feud with Packers PR, but not Packers PR, literally in football operations and football personnel who are like, I can't believe people put out there about the thing about he was running a wide receiver. And I said, well, of course they did. You ran a wide receiver in front of a whole group of reporters. Of course they're going to do that. Blah, 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 blah. And then literally 2 days later, they shut it all down. So, Tyler Ervin's going to be a lot of fun this year is all I can say.
Was he taking most of his snaps at wide receiver?
I cannot say, sir. I cannot.
Nagler, come on.
I can't tell you.
Come on.
Well,
I can't.
Gotta tell me.
Everything I saw while I was there on that credential has to be adhered to. And hey, you guys know, I literally said something as a joke, which was true, but I said it as a joke on my stream while I was in Green Bay. I literally got a text from Packers PR 5 minutes later going, no, you can't do that. They watch everything. They're going to be watching this pod, dudes. I'm telling you.
We have Mark Murphy as a guest, us every week. So can you comment on that, Mark?
That's up to Brian.
Up to Brian. Okay.
Yes, of course. There you go.
Thanks for the comment. So
thank you, Mark.
It should be interesting for Ervin. Definitely. I know I run him at wide receiver sweep all the time in Madden.
Hey, it's really effective, right?
Yeah. Just get outside right there.
I love it.
Lombardi would love it.
Nice.
So, do you think we're going to see more of that, of him lining up that wide receiver?
Yes. Yeah, we'll see him all over the place. We'll see him. And that's the thing I keep saying is I don't expect him to be utilized a ton. I don't think we should all of a sudden expect him to be a fantasy darling or anything, but I do think we're going to see him utilized more and more, much more than we saw last season. I think what we saw last year was very much the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, as far as how they can utilize him, either out of the backfield, at wide receiver, in the slot, even lined up in line sometimes, and then on one of those flat routes where then he catches it on a screen and then turns it up. I think they're gonna use him in as many different ways as possible.
Mm-hmm. I'm really excited for that. Just how our offense is going to work. Obviously, we haven't had any preseason to see them, so to see what Matt LaFleur runs out there, you know more than us.
Well, I don't know about all that, but I think we're going to see something a lot more efficient than what we saw last year. The thing that I think defined the team last year was how they played below their talent level. I think there was a lot of talent on that team, and you saw them never play even close to a 60-minute game. Like each and every week there was some stretch where it was just hard to watch. And I think there will be less of that this year. I think that's inevitable in the NFL, where you do have stretches where you just can't get out of your own way or you struggle or what have you. But I think for the most part, there's going to be a lot less of that. And I think a big part of that is the fact that they have so many of the same pieces back. They have a second year in the system. You have a coach and a quarterback who very much so appear to be on the same page. I just think the maturation of the entire process is only going to help and play out as we
wrap it up, because we only have 8 minutes left. So
let's do it.
I know Big B has some personal questions.
Personal questions? They better not be personal questions.
Yeah,
if this is about Olive's dog, you can stuff it.
No,
but
we'll write that off the script. So Big Boy B, how about you go with your personal question?
All right.
Oh God, now I'm scared.
What is
this is the toughest part of the entire interview. Wait, go ahead.
Favorite Queen song and member?
Ooh, damn. See, now, speaking of Olive, this would be in her wheelhouse because she is obsessed with Queen, much like you are, Big B. She loves Queen. And this is long before Bohemian Rhapsody came out as a film. Like, she's an OG Queen fan, like from birth. And I have no idea how that happened. Like, I'm a huge Depeche Mode, like Tears for Fears, very much 80s new wave stuff. Like, that's what I'm obsessed with. She's all about Queen. And I have no idea how that happened. Favorite Queen song? I gotta go. It's neck and neck between Don't Stop Me Now, which is obviously a bit of chalk, and Body Language, which I think is a bit more of an obscure track that maybe not a lot of people know.
Yeah.
Both for different reasons. I think Don't Stop Me Now is brilliant because I throw it on DJ sets all the time, and it just always brings down the house, and people get so happy. It's just one of those songs where if you hear it, you are instantly happy, and it instantly lights up a room, and everyone gets in. Like, it's not a question of like, oh, I'm too cool for that. No one's too cool for Don't Stop Me Now. Like, it just doesn't exist in the human genome. But then in Body Language, I will never, ever, ever, ever forget with my buddy Brian, back when I want to think like 4th grade, 5th grade, something like that, when that album came out, and Brian's older brother brought it back from the record store and put it on vinyl. And we gathered around to listen to the album because we were so excited about it. And that song came on, and it absolutely blew my mind. And I listen to it now, and I'm like, it's a little cheesy and it's a little dated, whatever. But at the moment, like, it made such an imprint on me. So those are the two Queen tracks that really kind of rule my world. As far as favorite member, it's got to be Freddie Mercury. Come on. If for no other reason than his moment at Live Aid when he had that crowd in the palm of his hand, eating like putty, like when he's singing and they're responding. You cannot beat that moment. Can't do it.
Does that pass the test, Big B? Is he a certified fan? All
yes.
right. Well, you're talking about 80s music. You've obviously watched quite a bit more Packers-Vikings games than us. So we want to ask you, we're going to go around. What is your most memorable Packers-Vikings game? I have an idea. I know what the answer is going to be. It doesn't have to be a good memory, a bad memory, but what is your favorite Packers-Vikings memory?
See, this is what sucks, is it's a bad memory. Like, and I'm not joking. Like, Randy Moss's rookie year, Corey and I were at North Carolina School of the Arts, and Corey was ahead of me at school because I had taken a few years at DePaul first, and then I took a couple years off, and then I went to North Carolina. So I was older than Corey, but he was ahead of me. But I'll never, ever, 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 ever forget Randy Moss's first game at Lambeau Field. It was on a Monday night game. It was a Monday night game, and I had rehearsal that night. And so I couldn't watch it live. But a buddy of mine taped it. And we had and this is before Twitter, before social, so I had no idea. So I was able to kind of just go to rehearsal and shut off and like just not know what was going on. We had arranged after my rehearsal, he would tape the game and then deliver it to me at a specified spot. It was a parking lot at the Haynes Mall in Winston-Salem. And so we drove up, and I was not allowed to look at him. The agreement was, because if I saw his face, I would know the outcome of the game. Like, it's just, we're friends, right? I would know. I would just know. So the deal was, I drove up into a designated spot, and I rolled down the window without looking. He dropped the videotape into my lap. I rolled up the window and I drove away. So I go home. So that happened. I drive home, and I lived alone, and I put in the videotape. I got my beer, and I'm like, all right, let's watch the Packers win here. And the game unfolds, and you can watch it on YouTube. Imagine 20-something Aaron sitting there going, I started fast-forwarding. I never fast-forwarded games other than the commercials. I fast-forwarded drives because I was like, this is a night. This has got to get better. And it just kept getting worse. And it was like, Randy again, Randy again, Randy again. It was a fucking nightmare. And at that point, it was like, wait a second. This kid is here for the next 8, 9, 10 years. Are you kidding me? It was the worst night, the absolute worst night as a Packers fan during that period. And unfortunately, if I think Packers-Vikings, it is absolutely the one memory that dominates my thinking, my brain, when I think about that rivalry.
Fortunately, mine has to be a bad memory too. And it has a little bit more of a story.
It's the Vikings, so of course it is.
Yeah, it's week 6, 2017. And obviously it's a game Rodgers gets hurt, but it's even more of a memory because I was set to go to that Saints game the very next week. Big B was there also, so just watching it at home, definitely did not expect that. Just had to bring a new school moment into it.
Well, of course. What about Big B? What's your Packers Vikings moment?
For some reason, I think it was 2015 when the Vikings clinched the North.
Oh, Jesus.
I think it was like week 17 or something.
Right.
I don't know why that game just sticks out to me, but it was, that game.
It was hell on earth. I will say my honorable mention, it's not the problem is like the good Vikings moments have nothing to do with the Vikings because that's, of course, how horrible they are as a franchise. But one of the greatest moments in Packers Vikings ever in the history of the 100 years of the Green Bay Packers is the Packers beating up on the Broncos in Lambeau, and then the Vikings losing to the Arizona Cardinals in the desert, and Lambeau absolutely going insane. I was in Lambeau when that happened, when Nate Poole caught the miracle catch to knock the Vikings out of the playoffs and for the Packers to clinch the division. That is one of, if not the greatest moment I was ever present for. It was magical. It was absolutely magical. So it's not all doom and gloom when it comes to Packers Vikings.
Yeah, I think you told that story to us on a Patreon Zoom. And with that, I think you guys got to get on the Cheesehead TV Patreon, and that's what we're about to go do. We got to wrap this episode up. So head over to Cheesehead TV on their website, their YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and our website. Thank you, Aaron, for coming on. It was definitely a kind of exciting time.
Kind of exciting. It's kind of fun. It's just a little bit of fun.
Just a little bit.
Kind of okay. It was great. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks so much. We'll see you later.